Hello to all subscribers and guests of the channel. Today in our video, one of the strictest penal colonies in Russia, the prison Black Dolphin. Black Dolphin is one of the strictest penal colonies in Russia. The walls of this correctional facility can hold up to 600 prisoners, and the number of personnel reaches several thousand people. There are many legends about this prison, many of which are truly frightening. Thanks to these stories, this colony became famous outside the criminal world, and not only in Russia, but also in other countries. The colony is located in the city of Solilitsk in the Orenburg region. Even during the time of Empress Catherine, robbers and other criminals were exiled to these places, who were tried en masse after the suppression of the Pugachev and peasant rebellion. In connection with this, a fortress was built in which prisoners were kept. Over time, the prison was transformed. It was made specialized. First, it became a transit prison, then a prison. For some time, prisoners with tuberculosis were kept there. During Soviet times, the Black Dolphin was a hospital for prisoners. In the 2000s, the prison became what it is now, a maximum security penal colony for especially dangerous criminals. A prison is an isolated area with several prisoner blocks. It is designed to hold 1,600 people. But at the moment, about 900 are serving their sentences there. Almost every prisoner is assigned a warden. The number of staff is approximately equal to the number of prisoners in the penal colony. The executioners of punishments often exchange information about their prisoners. Only those criminals who have received a life sentence serve their sentences in prison. The conditions in the Black Dolphin are very strict. In Russia, the number of similar colonies can be counted on one hand. Among such institutions, the Dolphin is the largest and one of the most famous. There are many legends about the prison. They say that it grinds up every prisoner who gets there. This prison is one of the leaders in Russia in terms of the number of prisoner deaths. The rules are so strict here that many prisoners are ready to exchange life imprisonment for the death penalty. The correctional colony is located on the territory of Solilitsk. You can get to it in the same ways as to the city itself. After the prison became famous, it became a place of its own kind of tourism. Those who visit Solilitsk often want to see the prison at least from the outside. Black Dolphin is the unofficial name of the colony, which appeared after one of the prisoners in the 90s molded a dolphin figure out of papier-mâché. It was painted black because it was the only paint which was available at the time in the maximum security colony. The sculpture was installed in the prison yard. Despite this, the prisoners never see it. They are not taken outside, and if this happens, they put black bags on their heads. The Black Dolphin is a maximum security penal colony for repeat offenders, terrorists, maniacs, and cannibals. Only those who have committed particularly brutal, inhumane crimes end up here. There are no ordinary criminals among the prisoners. Only those sentenced to capital punishment for life. The rules in the prison are very strict and are not like those in other penal colonies. These rights were quite colorfully illustrated by the words of one of the prisoners, who wrote a book about his stay in the Black Dolphin's hay. If today all the maniacs, cannibals, terrorists and the like find out what really awaits them, I'm convinced that many of them will radically change their attitude to life. I don't know. Maybe it's true. God gave me the gift of seeing everything with my own eyes, and then telling about it. But I know one thing for sure. If the moratorium in our country is lifted, then 700 Black Dolphin prisoners will run in a race and shout, "Shoot me first." Prisoners live in harsh conditions. They are constantly under surveillance. They do not walk in the courtyard and hardly see daylight. They are forbidden to communicate with each other. Prisoners are isolated from each other. Therefore, there is no point in talking about the formation of any internal culture. The only communication that prisoners receive is dialogue with the guards according to the manual, and unquestioning execution of orders. Prisoners are kept in solitary confinement cells for the most dangerous, or in group cells of 2 to 4 people. They sit behind double bars. Behind the heavy metal door there is another bar, into which the prisoner is led. Thus, a criminal has only a few square meters at his disposal. Each cell is equipped with a video surveillance system. Prisoners are under supervision 24 hours a day. There is always artificial light in the cell. Even at night, when the prisoners are sleeping. For safety reasons, prisoners live according to a strict daily routine, which is never violated. Prisoners are taken out for a walk once a day. Moreover, this does not happen on the inner platform, but in a special concrete cell corridor several meters long. The cells have a bed, a nightstand, a stool, and a mirror. Prisoners must keep the furniture perfectly clean. There is a radio inside the cell. Those who have behaved well for 10 years have a TV. When a prisoner is taken out of the cell, he is accompanied by several guards and a trained dog. The dog reacts exclusively to the prisoner, and one of the guards holds him back so that he does not attack the criminal. Each prisoner must cross his arms behind his back when moving so that handcuffs can be put on him. In this case, his body is constantly tilted towards the ground, and he walks in a half-bent position and does not have the right to stand up straight. If a person is taken along an unusual route, along the street to the sanitary block or to another place, then a black bag is put on his head so that he does not remember the room in the prison. This is also done to exclude the possibility of killing a criminal by snipers, who are on duty around the clock along the perimeter of the prison fence. And this is a very likely event. There are many high points around the prison, from which you can conduct aimed fire. A prisoner can be killed for various reasons, as revenge so that he does not give up his accomplices or reveal the secrets of the criminal world. And for some prisoners, death is a release from the suffering in prison. Sometimes even relatives are willing to pay murderers in order to spare a criminal from life imprisonment. Prisoners have no property of their own, except for clothing and toiletries. They shave with electric razors. Prisoners are examined by guards several times a day for prohibited items. They are also examined daily by doctors in the medical unit. This is not done to care for their health, but to exclude cases of suicide. There is only a bed and a stool in the cell. It is forbidden to lie on the bed after getting up. You can only stand or sit on a stool. Those serving a sentence are not allowed to talk loudly, make noise, or sing songs. Prisoners and guards adhere to the strictest daily routine. At 6 in the morning there is a mandatory wake-up call, after which you need to make your bed and do your personal hygiene. After this, the first cleaning of the cell begins according to the schedule. All of these actions must be done within half an hour. At 6:30, breakfast is brought to the prisoners. There is no canteen in the prison. Portions of food are passed through the window into the cell. You have 4 to 5 minutes for breakfast, after which, at 7:15, the radio and electrical outlets are turned on. Electrical outlets and the radio work for half an hour. During this time, you can shave, make boiling water for tea. Only those who follow the rules have tea leaves. Others make do with plain water. If the criminal does not break the rules for 10 years, he has the right to inspect the television during this time. At 8 in the morning, a scheduled inspection takes place, and the radio is turned off. A warden approaches each cell in turn. At this point, the offender must stand up, raise his hands and place them against the wall, and turn to face it. The executioner reads out the prisoner's last name and first name, announces the article under which he was convicted, and repeats that he will serve a life sentence. If the offender has bad behavior, such events happen more often. Sometimes they remind you of your fate every 15 minutes. At 10 in the morning, there is a walk around a special box several meters long. The transition to it is accompanied by 3 workers, the Federal Penitentiary Service, and a dog. The walk lasts an hour and a half. For good behavior, its duration can be extended to 2 hours. At 13:00, lunch is brought. It lasts 40 minutes. Immediately after it, at 13:40, another cleaning of the cell begins. At 14:00, the radio is turned on again and works until 17:00. At 18:00, dinner is served. At 20:00, there is another check. At 20:30, the sockets and radio are turned on again. At 22:00, it is lights out. Prisoners are required to lie down on the bed to sleep. At the same time, they are not stopped from being watched and the light in the cell remains on. There are many prisoners in the prison who have become famous due to the wide resonance in the media. The contingent in the penal colony are especially dangerous criminals. Therefore, it is not surprising that the whole country knows about their crimes. For each violation of the rules, the prison contingent risks ending up in a punishment cell, where the prisoner is practically unable to move and remains in one position for a long time. In addition, physical force and rubber truncheons are used for aggression or disobedience. About 400 people serving their sentences in the Black Dolphin work in a separate block of the sewing and shoe workshop. Training is conducted by foremen. During work, prisoners are under the strictest supervision. Almost everyone wants to get here, because this is the only entertainment and a way to escape the oppressive routine and schedule of the colony. The things produced by the prisoners are in demand by some trading companies, as well as by local residents of Sol and Lipsk. There are many followers of different religions in the Black Dolphin. Most of all, there are Christians and Muslims here. Many of the prisoners become believers already in prison. This is where they find salvation for themselves and peace. This is also facilitated by the frequent sermons of priests on the radio. Some even write books about their repentance. During the first 10 years of serving a sentence, 2 short-term visits with close relatives are allowed per year. After this period, the number and duration of visits may be increased, but only if the prisoner's personal file for this period did not contain any comments or special instructions. Adding a mark is not that difficult. It is enough to misbehave and break the rules or regulations 3 times, and after that, the chance for mitigation of the conditions of detention disappears. In the maximum security colony, there are foremen who can teach prisoners sewing and shoemaking. Recently, relatives have been prohibited from sending books. Therefore, the only chance to gain access to the printed text is to earn money and subscribe to the magazine yourself. Escape from this penal colony is considered impossible. Fences with barbed wire, several posts with armed guards, sinologists, and dogs rule out the possibility of prison escape. It is important to mention that in addition to the Black Dolphin on the territory of the Penal Colony 6, there is a penal colony settlement which holds less dangerous criminals who are serving non-life sentences. Some of them have the right to walk around the city and move freely around the prison, provided that they are constantly checked in by the guards. There have been cases of escape from this place, but we are not talking about especially dangerous prisoners. There are cases when prisoners were released from the colony. For example, Tario Mulakov, a crime boss who kidnapped a person, was released after 8 years of serving his sentence. He was soon detained again for extradition to Spain. Also, one of the criminals, a murderer and rapist, was released as a result of a petition. Some of the prisoners have their sentences commuted from life imprisonment to 20 to 25 years in prison. Friends, if you liked this episode, be sure to give it a like. Subscribe to our channel